And she injects herself into this whole debate about, oh my gosh, what is going to happen to these, why are these Trump supporters, why are these Trump administration officials being treated so negatively in response for their treatment of illegal immigrants? So she comes in, she decides to weigh in on civility here. And she says, and she keep in mind, her career has been predicated on the demonization of black people in America. She stepped in now as the voice of civility. She's been, her entire career has been predicated on this awful behavior. And she addressed these very serious lightning rods of civility. The Red Hen restaurant incident with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, where she got kicked out of a Red Hen restaurant and for working for Donald Trump, and famous actor Seth Rogen's refusal to take a picture with the famous asshole Paul Ryan. So, yeah, she was joined on a panel by the former U.S. Assistant Daniel Goldman, NBC's Stephanie Gosk, and inexplicably Karomo Brown, who's one of the 5 queer eyes. She then went on to openly brag about how she doesn't hit her kids, which is a little weird. And then she went on to criticize Representative Maxine Waters' call for people to continue to protest and publicly shame members of the Trump administration. She then went so far as to assign violence to Waters' statement because, again, ascribing violence to black people is what she does best. All her exposés, her fearless, amazing exposés on the new Black Panther Party. She's so brave. It's incredible. Like, what she's able to do on a daily basis, it's frankly inspiring. She just exposes those new Black Panthers every single day. And, yeah, she talks about that. And she's like, she's just ascribing violence. She's saying, and this is the Fox News spin that we're seeing day by day here. Oh, she's calling for violence against Trump supporters. She's doing really no such thing. She's supporting protests. She's supporting publicly yelling at these people who, again, as we just talked about on the podcast, they should be really called out against. It's very important for them to. It's very important for them to experience power, and it's worth it that these people who are inflicting so much pain on so many other people, they get their lives interrupted a little bit. Like, they had to leave a Red Hen. Oh my gosh, they didn't get a pic. Like in Paul Ryan's case, he didn't get to take a picture with a famous actor at a fundraiser where he was going to get millions of dollars anyway. Like, what in the world is the goddamn big deal? Paul, like, and from what I understand, the Paul Ryan thing is so ridiculous because he was actually nice about it. And then we got, like, Republicans, like, literally, I heard this Republican on CNN, like, oh, I don't know, punk move there by, he went out of his way to call Seth Rogen a punk. He was like, oh, a punk move there. Seth Rogen, what are you doing there, bro? It's a punk move by you, bro. Like, it's so cringy. Does not make any sense. It's just like, dude, what are you talking about? I think it was Jack Kingston. It was CNN. It was disgusting. Anyway. Yeah, she says, you don't call for incivility or arguably violence, because that's how it sounded to me. Well, you're deaf. You're bringing your Fox News ears into this. She's literally, she's you can tell she spent way too much time on Fox News. She's talking about violence. She's not talking about violence against Trump supporters. Like, let's be honest. Like, she talk about taking things out of context. You don't call for incivility or arguably violence because that's how it sounded to me in response to your own anger about what's happening at the southern border, Kelly opined. That's not the way forward, she continued. And then Stephanie Gosk said what she's calling here for, she correctly said what she's calling for here is protest, which she's right about. And then it's just unbelievable that, like, how does she know what the way forward is? She's like, oh, I know. What? You don't? You do not know literally anything. Yeah. When Gosk explained that Waters' statement was a call to protest, Kelly reiterated that the protest was uncivil, so she kind of backed down a little bit, and she said that people should instead march or protest, even though she doesn't particularly like it when they do that either. She's a little bit of a problem. She's like, why are these people marching if it's a cause she doesn't agree with? Then she brought another incident of incivility. She brought up an anecdote that Seth Rogen, of all people, told Stephen Colbert about the whole thing with Paul Ryan at the fundraiser. Paul Ryan hasn't done anything, she complained. Apparently his kids were there. Oh my God, his kids, they will never be able to get over it. I mean, on the ride to the private school and the beautiful education, the beautiful mansion that they live in, how can they get over seeing their father being roasted politely, from what all accounts say, by some actor? How can they possibly get over it? It must be so tough for them. I mean, please. Yeah, I mean, another thing is Paul Ryan hasn't done anything. He passed a tax bill that will intensify egregious inequality, find an excuse to allow the continued separation of immigrants from their parents. I mean, it's also a thing he did. He did his best to continue and support the policy of the president, refusing to condemn him on some really basic things. So anyway, Kelly went on to insist that people should not take their frustrations with the president out on the people who enable him and promote his white nationalist vision of America. You can loathe President Trump. You can loathe his policies. You can have no respect for the people who support him and put his agenda in operation, but you got to be respectful of the people who put him in office are going to get 4 more years just like these. It's just sounds like she just doesn't, like, that's the argument you're gonna hear, like, you're drawing people into Donald Trump's arms. Like, no, like, the left has their base, the right has their base. There's people who are independents, who are people who have voted with both parties in the past, that are most likely middle-class people, and they really don't care about being nice to Stephen Miller. Like, the only people who are going to be, like, offended by you being mean to Stephen Miller, Sarah Huckabee, or Paul Ryan, it's a very, very small sliver of people who are actually going to care about you being mean to Sarah Huckabee Sanders or Paul. People hate Paul Ryan. Like, I don't get what you're talking about here. Oh, sorry, I shook that up a little bit. But it's just, no. Sorry, no. Anyway, we're going to move on from that one. And, we're going to turn now into a story about Arne Duncan. He has something to say about Sarah Huckabee Sanders and this whole civil rights incident. He compared it to the whole civil rights incident. So, he's a former Obama education secretary. Arne Duncan this weekend posted what is probably by far the worst entry in the Civility Take Olympics. It's called there by Libby Watson. I think that's pretty good at Civility Take Olympics. Like, these people, they're good people. We shouldn't deny them our right to them. They're just such good people. Oh, my God. So former Obama, he had by far the worst entry yet. So he said, my personal opinion is no matter how much we dislike or disagree with someone, we should not deny them the chance to have a meal. The history in our country of denying people access to restaurants, to water fountains, and even bathrooms is too raw and too real. We can't keep dividing. Okay. Here we go. This is the most generally offensive statement yet uttered by the whole ridiculous failure. Worse than even now the Washington Post editorial board that conveniently forgot the existence of violence against abortion providers to compare Sanders not getting her breadsticks or Christian Nielsen being shamed at a Mexican restaurant because of their roles in enacting and enabling a program of child abuse by the U.S. government, with black people being refused service because of their skin color, is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. I mean, if these black people, I'm maybe wrong here, but I'm pretty confident these black people weren't committing what the director of the Pediatric Association of America, whatever, says is literally child abuse. Like, no joke. Wow. It's pretty crazy. That's some amazing stuff. Anyway, Yeah, it should go without saying that holding people accountable for their actions is very different from refusing to serve black people out of racism. It also betrays a complete lack of understanding about the nature of power. Sarah Huckabee Sanders holds a great deal of power, as demonstrated by Trump's tweet this morning in the ongoing harassment campaign against Red Hen, as well as Red Hen DC. Like, who does anything to Red Hen DC? Like, what do they do? They have absolutely no relation. No relation. Like, what is the... Like, why are you going to be so rude? Red Hen DC did not do anything. Red Hen didn't put up a no Republican serve sign. And that Trump administration policies, as of right now, they are harming people. It's them, the Trump administration, that they have the politics with. These people have the problems with. Yeah, so anyway... another ex-Obama official, David Axelrod, submitted his own heinously bad entry earlier on Sunday to earn a well-deserved silver medal. Kind of amazed and appalled, he says, by the number of folks on the left who applauded their expulsion of Press Sec and her family from a restaurant. This, in the end, is a triumph for Donald Trump and his vision of America. Now we're divided by red plates and blue plates. Hashtag sad. Hashtag, I'm going to throw... That's a sad pun there. Jesus Christ. Red plates and blue plates. Okay. Yeah, how about we're divided by good people and bad people? People who support the breaking up of America, breaking up of families, and people who don't. So, like, it's not like red and blue. It's not that kind of horse race ideological divide. It's something that is so much more important, so much deeper than that. It's something really worth paying attention to. Yeah, and he continues to say, oh yes, let's get really tough and deprive the Trumpies of chanterelle and scape risotto. That will change everything. Yeah, it's like that's the only thing we're doing. It's more than what he's doing, sitting in with like 2,000 people watching him on CNN. Like, that's literally all he does. He's like, oh, I'm so offended by the administration. Like, maybe he has a think tank. Like, that's all he's doing. And there are people out here who are protesting, people holding people accountable. Like, it's more than what you're doing, okay, bud? So pipe the bleep down. Okay, bud? Thanks. Yeah, we turn our attention now to really creepy stuff. So, yeah, if you're having a relatively normal day, we're going to change it. So, it's a little fun thing now that I'm about to tell you about. A little anecdote about a totally normal thing that some right-wing billionaires do to just kind of unwind. So, yeah, according to a report in the latest issue of The New Yorker, the ultra-conservative mega funder Rebecca Mercer of the Let's Help Establish Milo and Steve Bannon as national entities Mercers likes to invite some friends for a rousing game called the Machine Learning President. And here's the game. Here's the game that they like to play. It's a role-playing game, much like more like Assassin than like Monopoly, although players of this game start with an allotment of cash to spend on pushing their agendas, which can include algorithmic policing and mass deportation. I just get chills. So they play these games, like, they start with cash. They get to push their agendas. Who do they spend them on? Who do they lobby? What's a little fun? What are you spending on? Oh, algorithmic policing and mass deportation. Wow. Yeah, so apparently each player takes on the role of political candidate or faction in the game's pilot. Possible roles are Mike Pence, Elizabeth Warren, Black Lives Matter, Russia, Y Combinator, I have no idea what that is, Tom Steyer, Wall Street, Evangelicals, the Koch Network, and Robert Mercer himself. So Rebecca Mercer can play her own father, which is cool. Yeah. The rules description of Mercer's father's character, Robert Mercer, say the instructions apparently say, sit atop one of the most powerful geopolitical networks on the planet, which is driven by a next-generation technology stack with a business model. The Mercers they also continue to say, the Mercers are building a global far-right movement to embed Judeo-Christian values while keeping government small, ineffective, and out of the way. All right, so Yeah, very, very, very normal stuff right here. The player who assumes the persona of Robert Mercer starts the game with $600 million in cash to implement his policy wish list, which include mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, the creation of